You see in that scene where they first have breakfast, she treats him like he's the boss. And that is the way it usually works if a woman is your superior in a working relationship. There is some accommodation to the ego of the man, not to undermine it or make him feel bad or all the things we do. I love that you're telling me this. I'm just telling that you
have no idea what you're doing for myself.
This is the truth.
I learned to come to the set with all my lines completely hardwired in. No fooling around, no, you're not gonna mush around, there's not gonna be any rehearsal.
No rehearsal? Well, I knew how the boss worked, so.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know there was no rehearsal, so.
That's a Spielberg thing.
Yeah, that's a Spielberg thing.
Everybody asked me what it's like to work with Steven, and so I said, look, come over, we'll have some pie. And I'll explain the way the guy works. Everybody came over, literally everybody who was in the newsroom.
Not me.
Not you, no, because you were the bosses, the people who were in the newsroom. We invited one lady, Carrie Coon, she got to come.
I've been interested to see that President Trump had a real pop at you. He hasn't had a go at Oprah yet. He hasn't, not yet.
Afraid of her. Afraid of her.
Do you think he's
Well, Oprah is not overrated.
I remember that.
And she might actually run. So.
How come y'all hadn't worked together before? I think everyone is so surprised to hear that this is the first time working together on the movie The Post, but you had met before, obviously.
Sort of, I mean.
We sort of had, but it wasn't really memorable.
Well,
No, here's the thing. When you know somebody famous,
yes,
and you think
we know each other because we're famous and we've been on TV.
And I've seen you in movies, and I think maybe I did.
It was at the Shakespeare in the Park, and you were already seated, and Rita and I were walking to our seats, and I said something like, "We've never really met." I said,
yeah.
"Hey, Meryl, hey, Meryl," and you said, "Tom."
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
You both sound very Italian all of a sudden. Meryl, Tom.
What's great about Steven, he is so alive to the possibility of how a scene lives and how it contributes to the narrative of the whole piece. When I first came in, I knocked over a chair by mistake, and Steven said, "That's great, do that again," every time.
And also, we don't dare mess around with Meryl's choices.
Yes, I wanted to establish that right away.
Chair. I'm not going to interfere with that.
This is your 31st Golden Globe nomination. No, but I was going to ask you, but this one means more than all the other 30.
You finally broke 30, girl. We're all excited for you.
Have you lived to 109?
Each of the 31 is special in its own way.
I would have guessed 37, but I'm surprised that it's only 31. You know who's really funny is her trumpeters. The guys that enter the room before she does and blow the trumpets.
Trumpeters. Wow.
She has a copyrighted fanfare for Meryl. That is a number of notes on. Do you know it by any chance? The fanfare for Meryl.
We'll try to get it.
Something like. She has the little drapes that say MS on it. The guys in epaulets and what.
Trying to break my.
Everybody, we were on. This is what we would do. We would be in this. A couple of times, like when we were in the newsroom scene, we would work in the morning. We knew that she was coming in. We were all like dogs in the backyard, who all of us we're all just. We're like dogs hearing the postman, because all of a sudden a word would come out or someone would see that Kay Graham has entered into the newsroom, and we would all just straighten up.
Yeah, because it's a movie about a room. Newsrooms used to be all male.
Yes.
So when you heard that click, click, click coming down the hall, if that was the boss,
that was
you. Straighten up and fly right.
Well, the boys were all in a little tent off set, and they were not in character. And I came in to shoot the scene, and they're all in there having a fabulous time, like a little a sweat lodge or something. It's really sort of nasty in there, and I didn't think they realized the seriousness of what
I was going to have to be doing. They were hilarious. There's a great documentary I saw once about the last 8 seconds before Olympic athletes go. Did anybody see this? And that's all it was. The whole documentary was just the 8 seconds before people would take a dive or get up off the mark, and it reminded me of that moment. It was just everything concentrated into yes, you know, and that I remembered it when I was going in to shoot it, and then they ruined it. You know?
No, we did not. What happened was a bunch of guys were essentially treating it like a day off because we could wear our shorts and flip-flops that day. Sitting in that little blue tent, we had no idea that we were providing an audio track for what was going to be one of the most important moments in a motion picture that I've seen all year. We felt as though we just barely glanced onto greatness there by hanging out in our little fart-filled blue tent. Trying to make bad jokes about it.
Oh, I know.
Well, I might just have to stay. Bump all the rest of the guests.
We have a
I've got
typewriter
stuff
in
I
the
wanna
back.
talk
We're
about.
taking over the show.
You can leave, Meryl.
I know. I see why I've been drawn onto this show. I'm sure.
Thank you. Off you go.
Congrats. Thanks.
You know, it's very funny. What I love about typewriters, just go out. Just go on this. This room would be filled with the sound of people writing. Tack, tack, not this little clickety-clickety. Go ahead, go to commercial. I'm just going to keep talking.
All right.
All right, Devil Wears Prada. You got to top that.
All right. I'm just gonna take the shot. Take the shot. Oh, get out the guest list. We need to start working on the seating chart. Oh, by all means, move at a glacial pace. You know how that thrills.
That is like it.
That's all.
Why has it taken so long for you guys to be in the film together?
Because I can't sing.
Were there any close
If I
calls,
could,
though?
I would have been in Mamma Mia with her. But
You were my boss in
you
Mama.
I could not, I dare not put myself in
You had to
that.
write my checks. So. And you are amazing in this film. And thank you for that.
I adore you, Meryl.
We kissed on screen for the first time last night on French television. I just want you to know.
You'll see it on Monday. Set your VCRs. Make sure you download it. It's going to be an extraordinary moment.
Toy Story, so you'll wear a prop for
Oh, dear. Oh, it just goes on and on.
You are a toy! You aren't the real Buzz Lightyear! You're an action figure! You are a child's plaything!
That's like asking, who are you going to fall in love with? You know, you don't know that. You don't know that until you meet that person, until you encounter material that that strikes you in a certain way. I don't have a list of, I must play Lear. You know, I don't have that.
Although
you would.
she could. The right bald pate, you'd be sitting right there.
What you think about Trump describing Meryl as overrated?
Well, if having now worked with her, I never would have. At first, I said, "How dare he?" Oh, now you
kind of see what he has a point.
I've spent some time with a lady. I think
All right, this is
all right.
Iron Lady.
Oh, here we go.
Man,
that's
man.
fantastic.
All right. Bear with me
that's the
now.
real one.
Bear with me now.
It's the wig you used. Yep.
This is the real one?
Yep, that's the one.
Roy did a hell of a job. This is all looking right into the camera. With all due respect, sir, I have done battle every single day of my life, and many men have underestimated me before. This lot seem bound to do the same, but they will
All right. We have to break, and I have a surprise.
Can I keep this?
Yes, you can, and you can keep this. We'll be right back.
And when it comes to awards, you guys are record breakers. So how important are awards to you
It's
guys?
long in the tooth, that's all.
That's right. We've been around a long
Yeah,
time.
I got an award from the Chevy dealerships of San Antonio. I'm really proud of.
I didn't get that.
I know. Sorry, kid, you didn't deserve it that year.
Right here.
Facebook Live.
Where's Steven?
Where'd he go?
Behind? Okay. Okay. Just want to make sure one's in front, one's in. It's amazing that the three of us have received this amazing, award from this amazing man.
Yeah.
That
What did your certificate say on it? Because everybody is like, okay, so this goes to Ellen DeGeneres, pioneer, leader, entertainer, social engineer, advocate.
Yes.
To Meryl Streep, educator, artist, actress, filmmaker, social advocate, pioneer, and the rest. Mine said Tom Hanks, actor.
No, it didn't.
That was it.
Yeah.
That's all I got. Not like former bellboy. Nothing was on that.
Didn't
So I
even
got
list the bellboy. Wow.
I got actor. Like the fellow that brings in the Pentagon Papers in a shoebox. that guy just thought he was going to have a little tiny bit. Stephen makes sure that everybody
And you thought
on
you were
screen-
the main thing in that scene.
We did. As a matter of fact, all of us got together, all the guys, we were rehearsing, and we had our great jargon going down, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We thought it was all going to be about these crusading men surrounding a desk, saying manly things, and instead it was about a shoebox in this guy's
That's
hands.
so clever.
And as for everybody growing up and thinking they can be president,
Yeah.
for half of the population that has been true.
That's exactly.
For our entire history, if you'll notice.
As the
it
man,
hasn't
let
been
me
true.
walk back
Let me
the statement I just
woman-splain
said.
this to
Yes,
you, Tom.
I am so glad that you have enlightened me, and I became enlightened simply by listening to what you had to say. And I cannot argue with the empirical truth of what you just pointed out.
Now, incredibly, you two have never worked together before.
Righting a wrong that has been,
That millions have
been calling for, yes.
Can you tell me what was it? What was it that surprised you most about working with one another?
When we first worked together in this, we had a major, like 7-page scene. Monster scene, and my way of working is just to kind of ease in through a rehearsal or two. But Steven doesn't rehearse. Steven Spielberg doesn't rehearse. He knew that, and he didn't tell me.
No.
Didn't give it the heads up.
See, first of all, we were all expecting behavioral guidelines to come in. How to work with Miss Streep. Number 1, please do not greet her in the morning. Number 2, do not look her in the eyes for the first 40 minutes of a working day.
Address me in character.
Number 3, never ask her to run a scene. She is concentrating too deeply. Number 4, ignore her trumpet players and team of sycophants that surround. I've done movies and plays, by the way, when I haven't paid any attention to what the other person is saying, because I'm too busy thinking like, I've really got to turn this thing around in the next scene. And I have a line coming up. What the hell is this line coming up? Well, I'm sorry. This is my charming honesty that is getting around a more difficult subject. I was actually paying attention to her side of it.
So we're going to see you together again after this great
I think
experience.
the world is going to demand it, don't you?
Our basketball movie.
Hello. Yes.